A video of this man from Europe who has warned Africans to prepare for a war between Africa and Europe, which might break in the few years to come. Before I continue, I want you to listen to this video.
If you've been on TikTok for a while, you must have heard about a ton of Africans telling you that Europeans stole Africa's resources. Now, there's a lot to say about that. First and foremost, most of these resources are still in Africa, and they're not being stolen by Europeans. They're actually being sold to Europeans by the African state leadership. Your own elites are robbing you. It's not us doing it. Not anymore. The real issue, of course, is why aren't Africans using their own resources to do things? Why does Mr. Beast have to go to Kenya to build water wells? Why didn't the Kenyan government do it themselves? I suppose the Kenyan government could have done it themselves. They just chose not to do it. Nigeria is now a country of almost 220 million people, the largest country in Africa. But they only produce about 10% of the electricity that a small country like Hungary. Hungary only has 10 million people, but they produce 10 times as much electricity as Nigeria does. I mean, I know you want to have your Wakanda, right? But do you expect white people to give it to you? No, you're supposed to build it yourself. Having said all this, it is of course obvious that we Europeans in the north need to prepare for a possible, potential African rise in terms of technology and therefore also in terms of military capacity. And that means we in Europe need to already start looking ahead and thinking ahead about how we are going to win the war against Africa, because there will be a future war between Europe and Africa.
Well, let me say that, despite the fact that the history is repeating itself, I disagree with his framing. The underlying and unspoken reasoning here is that Africans are not smart enough to think about good solutions for themselves. I reject that argument, and as proof, I present Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. What we must do, however, is bring real economic freedom to our countries. And that starts with ousting leaders controlled by the West who work for Western interests and not African interests. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this video? Subscribe and give us your thoughts on the comment section below.